My name is Balki Kodarapu, and I'm the founder and CEO of ReturnGuru. ReturnGuru is a simple but powerful app where users can take a picture of their receipt, a retail receipt, and we'll apply our proprietary return policies and remind users before it's too late to take something back to the store. So my wife buys a bunch of stuff all the time, right? And then when my two kids came along, we kept buying even more. The amount of things we bought quadrupled probably. And then because they're growing up all the time, we have to take back some of the stuff. According to some statistics, 20-30% of the stuff women buy, they take it back to the store to return. They don't like the size, they don't like the color or whatever. So anyways, my wife keeps buying them, but somehow I inherit the process of returning those to the stores. I'm pretty organized, but then I can't keep track of the return policies or keep track of the receipts. So before going to start a weekend, I came up with this little idea that how about if people take a picture of their receipt with our app, and then we keep track of the return policies and also have a copy of the receipt. So I went in to start a weekend a few months ago, pitched that there, and got some really good reception. From then on, we have been building the company and getting some good traction. There's two founders for the company so far. I'm Balki, and I have a lot of experience in building software, about 10 years building software for the enterprise world. But for the last 4 years or so, I've also been managing a very highly talented technical team. I've gotten some experience in hiring, recruiting, and growing people, and that's helping me a lot with building ReturnGuru as well. And my co-founder, she's not here today, but she's joined the team about a month ago. She ran an online-based scrapbooking company for the past 10 years and has grown that tremendously. Since that market has been very diluted now, she's wanting to do something else, so she's become part of the team now, and she's helping with marketing and PR. From the beginning, we were pretty lucky and blessed that as soon as we pitched at the start of weekend, we got a tremendous amount of traction, plus support from mentors and entrepreneurs and investors. So that was mostly good, but in my case, it was somewhat of a distraction, right? So whenever we pitched, there was this positive reaction, and somehow I kept focusing on the pitching and refining the presentation, and somehow lost focus of the product development actually. So it was my first time, but that's not an excuse in any way. But a couple months later, we quickly realized product was more important than pitching. So we disciplined ourselves to spend most of the time on the product development and spent a little bit of time still refining the pitch. So that was kind of a hurdle. We lost the momentum because we kept concentrating on not really the most important things at that point. The mentors helped us focus ourselves, and having Erica, my co-founder, on board as well is helping me. She's been on board last 4 to 6 weeks, and she's taking care of talking to mentors, networking, talking to even investors and doing the PR. So I'm able to concentrate on the product. So we had a couple of other obstacles as well. Going into startup weekend, I didn't know what to expect, so I still had my full-time job at that point, of course. Even after the company got good traction, again, I have family that I need to support, so I'm still keeping my day job. So that does hurt a little bit when making progress for the company. I spend 40-50 hours at my day job. That means I get to spend maybe 20 hours at the most for the startup. And every moment I'm thinking, if I'm able to put those 40 hours in the company, we would have made a lot more progress. The good thing is, once we have some milestones set for ourselves, and once we hit those milestones, it would be a matter of time before we can get involved full time. Realizing that I'm not able to contribute as much as I want to the company, I started looking for a co-founder. He was also a symbolic thing for the investors. Many investors were not willing to risk a company that had a sole proprietor slash founder. So based on those two reasons, I spent a considerable amount of time looking for the perfect co-founder. You will never find a perfect co-founder, but again, we're very lucky to have Erica on board. She's a very good complement for what I can offer. I'm the geek. I have the technological skills, but she brings in the marketing and PR skills to the table, and we believe as a team we make a good team. We also spent quite a bit of time on the legality of the corporation. Again, this was my first time, so we spent almost a month trying to incorporate the company, figuring out what's the right way to do it. Should it be an LLC? Should it be a C Corp? And writing all the contracts up ahead of time with the co-founders, with people getting involved, independent contractors. Don't get me wrong, that's all really important stuff, especially for first-time entrepreneurs, but it's a rite of passage pretty much. But in my opinion, if you had a mentor that would help you with the incorporation part, that would totally cut the time you would spend on that important but an important task like that. So I recommend to first-time entrepreneurs, have a mentor and don't hesitate to ask them about, what route should you take about incorporation. And it's also about just in time, not just in case. So you don't have to draw elaborate contracts for everything you would eventually do. Just look at what you would do the next 1 month and get some contracts in place for that. Not everything you would ever. So honestly, I think there's a bunch of resources online, about startups and entrepreneurship and funding, but I think it's more distracting than valuable, especially if you're consuming them as they come to you. I think that's the totally bad way to consume things. It could take up your whole day, you would feel good, but not get anything out of it. So I got into that trap as well in the beginning. But again, we discipline ourselves. What I do right now is listen to 2 podcasts. One is called This Week in Startups by Jason Calhanis. He's an LA-based investor and entrepreneur. He brings on extremely good entrepreneurs on the program. He'll talk to them, pick their brain for about an hour every week. I listen to that on my commutes or before I get to bed. And there's a complimentary podcast called This Week in Venture Capital, and it's run by Mark Schuster, and that's coming from the venture capital side. Again, I think he does it monthly. So I religiously listen to both of these. Tons of great information, very, very focused for startups especially. We've also been part of the Thai incubator for the last month or so. It's a great place to park the company while it's growing and while you're figuring out what you want to do next. The mentors that come along with it are just an icing on the cake. Other resources we found useful. We decided early on to go with the Microsoft BizSpark program. That's a very comprehensive program that provides you three years of free software, hosting, and a whole bunch of other resources. And it was good for us because our specialty is in building Microsoft-based technology, so it was the right thing to do for us. We haven't even explored the parts where they actually nurture the startup from the business side. We've been leveraging only the technical part of the program. So we adopted the lean startup approach going into Startup Weekend and coming out of the Startup Weekend, which has disciplined us to build, measure, and repeat it. So that's been very helpful for us. We launched the company within 6 weeks, and I feel that's a tremendous accomplishment. But it was a very small product it wasn't enough of a product. So we launched it, we got good traction. There wasn't much usage, but there was a lot of feedback. So immediately we got feedback that email-based and web-based product channel for this product was not ideal. So they told us, all the users told us, you have to build apps for the various mobile platforms before you can see traction. So for the last 2 months or so, we've been working on the mobile apps for various platforms, the iPhone, Android, and Windows Mobile. It's not our core specialty for our team, but we've been learning and applying the knowledge we have to build these platforms. It's taking longer than we want to, but that's the next pivot for us. We will only know if this is a viable product and if people will come in millions and use it, if there's apps out there and it's really, really simple to use. The other thing we're really excited about is the Angel Oregon. Just last Monday, we pitched to a group of 50 local investors. We got really good feedback. We feel really good about it. Fingers crossed if you make it to the finals. So, mobile apps. It's pretty amazing and thrilling to me that a bunch of people, there's 4 members on the team now, that they just want to get involved for literally nothing in return, right? So we don't have revenue, we don't have many users, we have a few users, but as soon as I pitch this idea to them, they're like, we are on board, we'll be with you till the end. And they spend a lot of time, and every time I make a decision for the company, I think about people who are sacrificing money and time to be involved in this company, and I have to be mindful of that when I make decisions for this. That and people supporting and they're providing us so much support and feedback. It's again amazing to me, and that just keeps me going. My co-founders and engineers who are on the board, they just help me make the right decisions. My wife and 2 little kids, without their sacrifices and whatnot, I wouldn't have done the startup weekend or anything afterwards. My little guy is 6 months old, and some nights I don't get to see him before he goes to bed. I'm involved in a networking event or I'm pitching to somebody. By the time I get home, he's asleep. Just that sacrifice my wife has to make. Any decision I make, I have to be reminded that it has to make sense, and it has to be meaningful, and it has to take the company to the next stage.